Hello and welcome to the big picture. The Unique Identification Authority of India and the National Population Register. There has been a conflict between the two, because of which we have seen in the last several weeks and months there has been some kind of a friction between the Home Ministry, the Planning Commission and the UIDAI. But last week and the Prime Minister had to intervene and bring about a truce, because after which we will now see both the UIDAI and the National Population Register, that is the Census Commissioner, will be doing this exercise. They have split the entire country into 60 crores each will be done by both of them. There are a lot of questions still remains unanswered after this so-called truce which has been worked out. So we are looking into the issue today and asking the question, this Aadhaar versus NPR, the truce which has been worked out, whether it will stand scrutiny. To discuss this with me, I have in the studio with me Usha Ramanathan, an independent law researcher who has been looking into this issue for a long time and has also written about it. On the phone line with me will be the former Home Secretary of India, Mr. G.K.Pillai, and also the former Census Commissioner and former Chief Secretary of Kerala, Dr.M. Vijayanunni. Welcome to all of you. Let me first go to Mr. Pillai. Mr. Pillai, this whole exercise, I'm sure, was going on when you were also the Home Secretary. You think this truce which has been worked out will stand, and will it be is this the best solution which could have been found?
See, I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding over what is the real, difference of opinion between the NPR, which is done by the Census Commissioner, and the UIDAI.
Right.
See, the National Population Register is going to be based on what we call as the household census, which was done as part of the 2011 census.
Right.
So you have a basic data which is available.
Right.
And based on the household census and the details available therein, the National Population Register was going to be constructed with the aid of photographs and 10 fingerprints. Subsequently, of course, when the UIDAI came into existence and the issues there was a slight overlap between the issues.
Right.
The issue of getting the iris also, so that there is what they call as 99.9% reliability.
Right.
Came up, and the NPR also said that when they did the National Population Register, they would also take the iris details also.
Right.
There was also a further, shall I say, not a complication, but a further addition when the Right to Education Act came.
Right.
And then you wanted that the students who were age of 5 above, who would be in the schools, Mr. Kapil Sibal wanted to see whether the students were in schools or not, and therefore a UIDAI should be for each student in any school in India.
Right.
Now you have the problem that fingerprints get stabilized only at the age of 14 and above.
Right.
So when you take a fingerprint of somebody who is 5 years, it is not stable.
Right.
And therefore you will have to again take a fingerprint when he is 14 or 18.
Right.
As also the photograph, because a photograph of a 5-year-old child would not be valid when he is 18.
Right.
Though the iris is supposed to be the same. So the basic difference, I think, between the Home Ministry and the UIDAI was basically on what basis would you be taking the base, the register from which people would get into the UIDAI.
Well, Mr. Pillai, before you proceed, I have this basic question. Why was the need felt to have this National Population Register?
The National Population Register was felt, this in one sense, it is a first stage to prepare the National Register of Citizens of India.
Right.
We found in practical terms, if you try to do a national register of citizens in the first instance,
right,
it wouldn't take off at all. So you have to first get a national register of what we would call as people resident in India.
right.
And from the national register of people who are resident in India, we would then be able to construct those who are citizens and those who are not citizens.
So this is a new exercise, and this exercise, when it was thought about, UIADI was not around, but you couldn't merge the two things. Anyway, we'll come back to you. Let me go to Dr. Vijayanunni first. The truce which has been worked out at the Prime Minister's level, that UIADI will continue to go ahead and register people under this thing for the Aadhaar cards. That is 60 crores people will be registered by them, and the remaining 60 crores will be done by the National Population Register through the Census Commissioner. Is this a viable or a workable idea?
I have an entirely different perspective on this matter.
Right.
This National Population Register is something which had been tried in 1951 after the first census of independent India.
Right.
It was a big disaster. The National Population Register never took off.
Right.
It was given a very silent burial, and it was not heard of again. Till now, that is in the 21st century, suddenly the idea has been revived.
Right.
Now, having a national population register covering the entire citizenry of the country,
right,
it is not something new, and it has been tried elsewhere in the world.
Yes.
China is a country of comparable size as far as the population is concerned.
Right.
They had attempted and they have given it up.
Okay.
After spending a lot of money. They have found that in a country of such dimensions, both geographically as well as the dimension of the population, it is just impossible.
Right.
We'll never have a satisfactory population register for the whole country, including all people. And also, this remember, this population register is not a one-time exercise. It has to be a continuing exercise forever.
Right.
You have to. So all that is just impossible for a country of that size.
Okay.
And then we had a recent example of the United Kingdom.
Right,
where
right.
also this was tried.
Absolutely, and they had to give it up. And they had to give it up. Dr. Unni, just please let me go back to Mr. Pillai for a moment. Mr. Pillai, I hope you heard what Dr. Vijayanunni was saying. He says that the National Population Register was an idea which was taken up in 1951 and given up, and even now it's an idea which will not work.
I don't think it will work. I think what is really people are forgetting is you are going to have a national population register which will cover the entire population.
Right.
The UIDI number, the biometrics for that 60 crore will be done by the registrars of the Census Commissioner.
Right.
Whereas the biometrics for the other 60 crore people would be done by registrars appointed by the Aadhaar, which is the UIDI.
Right.
So you are still going to have at the end of it 800 million people who will who would get UIDIs. But the National Population Register would cover the entire population.
It will cover the entire population. Okay. Mr. Pillai, just please stay on. Let me go to my studio guest, Usha. You heard both of them. You think it's a workable idea? There are two different versions to this. Dr. Unni says that it's not a workable idea, but Mr. Pillai still feels it can be worked.
Actually, I'm interested in this, that people think that you can have a compromise over something that is considered a national security issue.
Yes.
And I have to say that as a citizen, as much as I'm concerned about the national security, I'm equally concerned about personal security of people.
Individual security.
Absolutely. And what I don't understand is the complete disrespect there has been for parliamentary process. You know, we've been talking about this and asking questions for a very long time and received no answers on many of these things. For instance, about biometrics.
Yes.
Parliamentary Standing Committee has raised questions about it now, and they've used very, very strong language in that context. Now, their UIDAI has done a study, had a committee, and the committee found that fingerprints are not going to work. And here we are talking, and iris scan has never been tried in this country before. It's completely untested technology, and we are simply putting it together as if it doesn't count. It's like an experiment on a whole population.
It's an experiment.
This can't be done through
We'll continue this discussion further. We need to go into a short break now. Please keep watching. We'll come back very soon. Welcome back. We are discussing whether the truce which has been worked out between the UIDAI and the Home Ministry on the National Population Register versus Aadhaar is going to work, and whether it's a viable idea. Let me come back to Mr. Pillai. Mr. Pillai, Usha Ramanathan, who has been following these issues, she's in the studio with us. You must have heard her. She says this is an experiment on the entire population of this country, whereas the iris biometric, the biometric exercise on the iris as well as the fingerprints have not been very successful in many places, including in India.
We are already done crores for the coastal population. We've done the biometrics with the 10 fingerprints and the photographs.
Right.
When the UIDAI came, they wanted the iris to be added. And there were technical committees which stated that with the inclusion of the iris,
right,
the possibility of, what you would get is the 99.9% validation. So, I mean, we go by what the technical committees have said. I do agree with you that to a certain extent, it is an experimentation.
Right.
Because it's not been done anywhere in the world.
Yes.
But that's the risk that the government has taken, that this is critical enough for various other reasons that we go ahead and do this.
Okay. Okay, Usha, you were saying he agrees that it's an experimentation, but in this age of advanced computers and all kinds of things which we have, isn't it worth taking a chance?
I really want to know what taking a chance means. Here we are talking about a UID which is going to be given to people, and Mr. Nilekani and his team have been working to try and re-engineer every system so that it will virtually become mandatory for all of us to get UIDs. Here you have a parliamentary standing committee that asked the Home Ministry the question, it has asked the UIDAI the question, and what is the conclusion that they come to? That the scheme is full of uncertainty in technology, as the complex scheme is built on untested, unreliable technology and on several assumptions. Is this a basis on which you will carry on a project over a whole population? And you're going to determine our citizenship on this basis. The UIDAI, Mr. Ramsevak Sharma from there, has given an interview as late as in November, after they've tried it over such a vast population, to say that for people who do manual work, authentication may not work.
In fact, I have to mention it here. We tried our level best to get Mr. Sharma, the Director General of the UIDAI, to be on our program. Though he initially agreed, later he had reservations and he pulled out of the program. I just wanted to make this clear.
Yeah, because we need, these are questions we've been asking them forever. We are talking about national security. It's not only the question, the enrollment is a complete mess. Anybody who's gone and watched it will know that it's a mess. Dividing it up between two agencies doesn't reduce the mess in any way.
Dividing between the, Dr. Vijayanunni, this work has been divided between the two agencies. Home Ministry, which had serious reservations about the biometric exercise being conducted by the UIDAI, has now accepted that, okay, I mean, you can do 60 crores, we will do 60 crores, and if there's any problem, we will cross-check. How viable will this cross-checking be, and and will there not be a lot of duplication also?
Yeah, actually, you see, there was a statement that there will be only about 5% duplication. This is attributed to the Home Minister.
Absolutely, the Home Minister has said that there may be 5% duplication, and it may result in excess expenditure of about 250 crores, which he says is something which we can live with.
This is totally off the mark. You see, right in front of my eyes, I can see in this state,
Right.
the duplication is 100% because the UIDAI has been, Aadhaar has been taking the biometrics, and the NPR people also have been taking the biometrics, and the same people have been going to these two different separate agencies and giving their biometrics. So wherever this has been tried already, I think it is 100% duplication. It is only those states where they have not started. There is a possibility, that is, presuming that the government is able to convey to the people very clearly that only one of these is required, etc., which I very much doubt. And therefore, the duplication is going to be near 100% in all these places. And the expenditure is also going to be, that is, the waste of public money is also going to be near 100%.
Okay. Yeah. So, Usha, I think we have lost him. We'll get him back. So this duplication is a major issue. Let us keep that aside. Now the issue of, what the Home Minister has said after this truce, and both Nandan Nilekani, also the chairman of the UIDAI, has said that we are combining both the models. We are combining the NPR, the Census Commissioner, the Director General of Census, whatever model they have of getting the biometrics, and what we have, we are combining both. So we are going to have the best of both worlds.
Can I just say one thing? The assumption in all this truce making is that there are two turfs. I think there are somewhere people are forgetting that a third turf has been existing ever since the project came in, and that third turf is called a citizenry, which has been questioning this. Mr. Ram Sevak Sharma not being here is really a loss for us, because we have been trying to ask them these questions. We've asked them the questions. We've been trying to gain answers from them, and there have, in fact, been no answers at all. There's a fourth turf that got created when the Parliamentary Standing Committee acknowledged every one of the issues that we've been raising over this time. There isn't even a respect. I mean, okay, Mr. Nandan Nilekani has no concern with Parliament, I understand that. Why would Mr. Chidambaram be so dismissive of what's happened through a long process while the Lokpal tamasha was going on? You had some people sitting there in a low-key, low-profile area, sitting there and doing hard work and finding that basically they had no answers. You look at the report, you'll find that UIDAI has been able to answer not a single one of the concerns that have been raised. Mr. G.K.Pillai referred to this coastal area.
Yes,
having
coastal
been
area,
done.
already they have done.
What have they done? They have gone, they've done their enrollments, and that's it. You don't know anything about deduplication. You don't know. Home Ministry, as far as we know, and the NPR, as far as we know, has not put out a single study that has been done on biometrics. On what basis are they assuming that it's going to work? Do we see even what kind of national security risk of the kind that they are talking about is going to be exacerbated when you're going to have fingerprints that don't work but numbers floating around the country?
Yes, there are still several issues which needs to be answered. We will discuss this further. We need to go into a short break now. We'll be back soon. Please keep watching. Welcome back. We are discussing the truce which has been worked out between the Aadhaar cards and the NPR, and we are discussing whether it's a viable solution. Let me go back to Dr. Vijayanunni. Dr. Unni, you heard what I said. Now let's go into the basic question of whether this NPR was. You have already said that the NPR is not a workable idea, but the government is simply going ahead with it. Now, how do you expect this whole thing to work out at the end of the day?
Now, you see, this is a very, I'm sorry to say, it's a very ill-conceived and misconceived idea of the government to cover the entire population of this country, 120 crores right now, with this so-called National Population Register. Now, there's a gross intrusion into the privacy of the citizen of India. See, that is why the UK, I was mentioning, talking about the UK experiment. Right. That's why the recent government, which was very recently, during the last 6 months, that they have not only fulfilled their promise of throwing out this scheme as such, lock, stock and barrel. Right. They have also made it a point to delete the whole database. Yes. Because they said that so long as this database remains, it is going to be a standing threat and intrusion into the privacy of the citizens. And therefore, they have kept their promise not only to abolish this scheme, but also to eliminate the entire database so that no future government will misuse it to intrude into the citizens' privacy.
So you, Dr. Unni, you are saying that the NPR is virtually a dangerous idea.
The method used for this thing is totally objectionable, and it is not. They are talking of a population register, national population register of citizens. Right. Now, a register of citizens may sound very innocuous, but the method which they are going to see, fingerprinting is for criminals. It is not for the ordinary citizen. Why should he go and fingerprint himself and photograph himself, etc.?
What about, Dr. Unni, what about the Aadhaar card? You know, Aadhaar card has very noble intentions. Once you have the Aadhaar card, the whole idea is to see that the benefits which has to reach the common man, the government benefits, the other benefits, you know, they are able to reach the common man easily. They don't want to have, they want to avoid all the middlemen. See, that was the idea behind the Aadhaar. Now, you think Aadhaar, if Aadhaar is extended and instead of NPR, will it be the solution?
See, all this talk by the government, it is only the talk of the big brother. For reaching the benefits of the government's schemes to the public. Right. The government of India and the state governments have been implementing schemes for the last half a century. Right. All meant for the common man. Did they have to fingerprint themselves? Did they have to go and produce identification cards?
No, but the fact remains.
Misuse of these things.
Dr. Unni, the fact remains
universalized.
Dr. Unni, the fact remains that many of these government schemes, most of the government schemes, there is a huge amount of leakage. The actual beneficiaries don't get it. So that the UAIDI's intention is to see that these leakages are plugged.
See, for a 1% or 2% or 5% leakage, right. Do you have to trouble the entire 95% of the beneficiaries? Is it a sufficient argument?
Okay. Please stay on and we'll come back to you. Usha, very strong views. You know, he virtually thinks that both Aadhaar as well as the NPR are both ideas which should not have been implemented.
Yeah. See, I completely agree with him. I think this is a megalomaniacal idea, and it's an idea that has not been thought through. It has all kinds of ambitions. It has managerial ambitions, it has controlling ambitions, it has ambitions about controlling social control of a whole population, which is completely unacceptable in anything other than a completely totalitarian state. And India, as far as I know, has not become that. So I think I understand that we can make mistakes.
A lot of money has already been spent. Thousands of crores have been spent.
No, first of all, spending money and therefore sending good money after bad to lose your democracy sounds like a bad prescription to me. But apart from that, I also think that, the kind of, why UIDAI? See, NPR is a hopelessly bad project for a range of reasons, including this, that NPR is an indication, it's a symbol of where they are telling us that if citizens do not part with their information to the state, then we are going to be penalized for it. This is a new turn that a democracy is taking. There is another thing, that a government at least should have some respect for the law. When did the government believe that it is above the law? It's been pointed out time and again that for the NPR, under the citizenship rules, they do not have a mandate for collecting biometrics. They do not have that mandate. How come they carry on collect? Don't they respect their own law? And as far as this thing about giving benefits is concerned, I think we need to make a distinction between using something as a marketing gimmick and something that is in fact. In fact, one of the most tragic things that we saw was on October 2nd, you started issuing the UID cards in Delhi.
Aadhaar cards.
And the next day and the same day, the day before, you were pushing people out of the city because you wanted to clean the place up for the Commonwealth Games. So, to say, and in fact, I must say, Mr. Nilekani has been very honest about this. He has said, we are just giving identity, we are creating open architecture.
Absolutely.
Anybody can use it any way they want. Do you understand what that means?
You can use
it for surveillance. You can use it for profiling. You can use it for tracking.
He says you can use it to open a bank account. You can use it.
Okay, I have checked with the ex-deputy governor of the RBI. The financial inclusion does not require a UID. Every one of these programs we've seen, whether it's PDS or it is financial inclusion, I don't know if you've seen the health thing, it is the UID that is needing these so that it can expand its enrollment base. It's a completely,
Dr. Unni, last word to you. So you think that the only course open is to abandon these projects, especially after so much thousands of crores have been spent on this? You think it's a viable thing at all? And you think
actually that is the only sensible and wise course of action left before the government of India now or even earlier. You see, if they have already sunk crores of rupees, it is their headache.
Right.
They should not, as she said, as Usha said, don't put good money after bad money.
Right.
The earlier this is given up, the better for the government and for the country and for the welfare of the citizens of India and the people of India.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vijayanunni. We need to end here, but it's very obvious that, there are very, very strong viewpoints about these two, both the schemes, in fact, on which the truth has been worked out by the government of India. But the fact remains that the present government is bent upon continuing this scheme, and it doesn't look like they will abandon the scheme as some of my guests here are suggesting. But let's hope that there will be some amount of proper coordination as well as taking note of all the security concerns which people are talking about before we see these two schemes being implemented. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to all my guests, Dr. Vijayanunni from Kerala, Mr. G.K.Pillai, and also Usha Ramanathan here. Thank you very much. Please keep watching Big Picture. We'll come back with another issue on it.